Welcome everyone to day 3 of our WordPower series. Today is Discovering Bilingual Options, and Nancy Enman, author of WordPower, and Pam Corley will be your presenters today. I'm Lisa Tim and I will be the moderator for this session.
Well, thank you, Lisa, for organizing this, and thanks, Pam, for being here today. So what I'm going to talk about today are the Spanish files, and there are currently 3 Spanish files, and Pam Corley is my colleague that has helped me with the development of the Spanish files, and she and I have been working hard on a new file that we hope to have released possibly in a couple of months. It may be 4 months, but it's pretty far along, so I'm going to show that. It's a 25 location version of Spanish WordPower. And then I'm going to be talking about the French files and profiles. And we want to make this, fun, easily go back and forth kind of talk. So please, if you have questions or, you can enter your questions in the chat, and Lisa will be monitoring that. Okay, so the first thing I'll be talking about is are the Spanish options for WordPower. So the ones that are available right now are WordPower 48 Español, and then after that came 48 Español Básico, and then WordPower 60 Español Básico. And the files, of course, have a lot of similarities, but there are also a fair amount of differences between them. So I thought I would first start off by talking a little bit about the WordPower 48 Español that Pam and I developed first. And so I'm going to share my screen now. And so I'm using my iPad today with Touch Chat. And then I'm using a Bluetooth mouse. So I'm going to try not to move too fast, because sometimes if I move the mouse too quickly, it gets blurry. So let us know if it looks okay to you. But this is the first WordPower 48 Español. And this file, all the work that I do, we're trying to emulate the look of other WordPower files. So if somebody's familiar with it, you can look at the design and see, oh, okay, we have the pronouns in yellow on the left, and we have the helping verbs, and we have the core verbs, and we have a link to groups, and we always have these categories at the top, a way to get to spelling, people, questions, places, conversation, time, describe. And so with this first version of WordPower in Spanish that we did, we had a lot of different verb forms. And so I'm just going to show, like, if I was going to say, trabajo, I work, the way this worked is on the top row, you had 4 buttons so that you could say, I worked, I was working, I would work, and I will work. And that worked for all of the verbs. So I could say, estoy comiendo, I am eating, or como, I ate, I was eating, etc., etc. And so all the categories had some core. They all had the singular and plural articles, masculine and feminine, and of course the whole masculine and feminine of Spanish and French created lots of challenges. So after we completed this program, then we did WordPower 48 Español Básico, and then the main thing I'm going to be showing and talking about today is the WordPower 60 Español Básico vocabulary. So the goal of this, I had already completed WordPower 60 Basic for English, and there were a lot of things that were unique about this 60 Basic file. It was 60 locations. It was designed in English. It was designed to be a system that would work for young kids and beginning communicators, as well as older kids or students. And there were lots of literacy supports and lots of symbol support. We added more symbols on the pronouns. We thought a lot about what the symbols were. We thought a lot about which verbs to place on the main page, because we wanted the verbs to be sentence starters. So in English, you know, we have things like open, and put, and stop, and tell, which would all start a sentence. And so in Spanish, we did the same thing. So actually, I'm going to jump over to Okay. So this is the file here. So the first thing I wanted to demonstrate is, and I can remember Pam and I sitting with the 60 Basic in English right beside this. And we wanted that same functionality to exist on the Spanish file as that was in the English file. And obviously there are lots of differences and lots of things we had to consider. For one, there are, of course, more pronoun forms and then more article forms. But so we took, like I said, we took the functionality of the English. And so I'm going to show you some of the things that we incorporated. So in English, of course, you can say right on the main page, I like. So in Spanish, when you say me, you have me gusta. I would like.
Gustaría.
I would like.
Me.
I liked. And the plural form, me gustan. And we can do the negative.
No. Me gustan.
We wanted quick and easy access to common functional language. So right here on the main page, we have quiero.
Quiero tomar una foto. Quiero tomar agua. Por favor.
Just as in French, tango, of course, leads you to I have hunger, I have thirst. And of course in English, I feel hungry, I feel thirsty. So we have
Hambre. Tengo sed. Tengo sueño.
in English, I always have on the main page good. You can say good job. And in Spanish,
Bien.
we have
Hecho.
well done. In English, I always include I don't know. And in Spanish,
No.
when you select the no, you can say
Sé.
I don't know,
No.
or there is none.
Ay.
Another thing that I always put on the main page is my turn.
Mi
So in Spanish, we have
turno.
or.
Me toca.
And then what was interesting for me, of course, I'm not a Spanish expert. That's my friend Pam. I'm the programming person. But it was interesting to learn how the verbs attach to the associated pronouns. So when we say help me, so we put the ayuda in the imperative form.
Ayuda.
And then when I follow it with me.
Ayúdame.
So they connect to one another. When I want to say, tell me,
Me.
it does the same thing. And
Ven. Acá.
so we use lots of logical next words.
Nancy, can you turn that iPad up just a little bit? The volume.
Turn the volume up? Yes.
Yeah.
Me.
Is that better?
I need to hear a couple words in sequence.
Okay. Hold on just a second. Okay, I'm going to show a few more logical next words that are on the core page now. I am ready.
Estoy.
So we have the feminine, the masculine.
Listo.
And of course, just like all versions of WordPower, the verbs follow the pronouns. So when I say yo, all of the verbs are in the first person format. And as I learned, in Spanish, you often don't say the pronoun. If you want to say it,
Yo
you can double hit and do it. But
ayudo.
if I say estoy, we have the present progressive form. And then after estoy, I can say I am ready.
Listo.
And then automatically all the verbs go to the infinitive form.
Para ver. La televisión.
If you say I need in other forms of WordPower, you get a page with blanks that you can fill in. So I need to take a break, I need medicine, I need a hug.
Un abrazo.
Okay, I think I showed. And when I say, let me show how these words work. When I select un, which of course is the masculine, I do a double hit
Una.
and to get una. And
Un
when I say un, I have the logical next word of un poco. When I select L, then we have the plural masculine and la, and there's the plural. So it was a challenge to get all of these words in, and I've really loved working with this Saltillo software because they kept giving me more and more modifiers, which allowed me to do more and more with the software. Okay, I want to go with you.
quiero ir.
Now, when I select con,
Contigo.
then these forms that attach.
Quiero ir contigo.
And so if I say con, I can also
Mío.
say conmigo. If I select K, I can say
Pasa.
¿Qué pasa? So there are some examples of some of the logical next words and the way the verbs work. Okay. So as I said, we wanted to get lots of good functional speech on the main page. One of the words that we decided to include on the main page is ya. And I don't know if Pam wants to say something about this, but I understand that often that term is not used very much in written speech, but it's very common in spoken Spanish. So if I go to phrases,
Basta ya.
and I can put emoji on the end of that. If I want to say I don't want anymore.
Ya. No. Quiero más. Ya no quiero más.
Or if I want to say I want it now.
Lo quiero ya. Lo quiero ya.
It doesn't hurt anymore.
Ya. No. Me duele. Ya no me duele.
Nancy, so there's that question, is there any way to get the English and Spanish word on the same button for those of us who are not fluent?
Well, actually, you mean actually on the device?
Yeah, I think that they're probably, there's a multi-chat file that does have English and Spanish on it, but it speaks Spanish. But I think possibly kind of showing how and I think that's what you're getting to anyway, is how the Espanol version and the English version kind of mirror each other as much as possible without some of the other words.
Right. Maybe I'll demonstrate the profile now. That would be perhaps a good.
And one of the things I'll say is it's not a direct translation. So it's not as though you can directly translate one language to another. They're close, but we don't all use the same words, and there are different pieces, like in Spanish, where you're adding some different words in the different verb forms compared to English.
Exactly. And that's why I was saying that when Pam and I first started, we looked at the functionality of the language. What can you say in English? And we want to get those same functions, but it's definitely not a word-to-word translation. It's like good job and bien hecho, or well done. So I think what I'm going to do now is show how you can go back and forth between the Spanish and the English file. So before we started today, I went in and saved my settings that are here for Spanish, and I saved it as a profile. And so, and then I have another profile for English. So what I'm going to do is program a key that will go back and forth between the Spanish and the English. So I'm going to say word. Should do it with my mouse. Now I'm going to select WordPower 60 Basic. So when you select this key, it takes you to the English file.
Right.
And the synthesizer is there that I programmed this in.
I'm going to talk to you with this. I am going to talk to you with this.
And then now I can program profile to go back.
Ayuda.
Okay, so those profiles are a really cool thing, and something that allows someone that is bilingual. We heard a lot of examples where Spanish-speaking children were being educated in English, but they might go home and their family speaks primarily Spanish. And then there are lots of different examples, but using the profiles is a way that one can go back and forth. That's why we were trying so hard to be consistent in programming, because we understood that some people might be using the same program.
There's also a question if the profile button could be programmed on the home page. And my response would be you would have to give up one of the words that's about the real estate. So you'd have to give up something on the home page to be able to do that.
Right. I usually tell people don't mess with the home page. So yeah, I mean, I would think probably the groups page would be the place to go to do that. I mean, I don't know. If I look at this, I would not use the home page. Yeah. Okay. So I'll do a few more examples of some of the things that we programmed here. So all of the WordPower files have a place to do favorites. So I can, when I say quiero,
Quiero
I have a link to favorite things. And this page is meant to be customized.
usar la computadora y tocar el tambor. Quiero usar la computadora y tocar el tambor.
Or I can say,
Me gustaría
and I have a link there also.
leer un libro.
And if you'd like, you could
Me gustaría leer un libro.
jump right to that page. So just as in the English file, we put core vocabulary within the categories. So another example I wanted to show. Okay, so if I'm in the animals page, and I want to say I have 2 fish. So once I select the pronoun, these are all the high frequency pronoun phrases, and there are specific verbs that are related to this page. So I could say,
Tengo 2 pez,
and here's the plural.
peces.
And because of those modifiers that I mentioned, the software is able to not just add an S, but to pluralize the word correctly.
Tengo 2 peces.
Do you want to pet the cat? So in all the Spanish categories, there's a Preguntas page, a link. And so once I hit that, you have the upside down question mark. I don't know exactly what that is called.
¿Quieres acariciar al gato? ¿Quieres acariciar al gato?
Or I can go here and say, what is your favorite animal?
¿Cuál es tu animal favorito? ¿Cuál es tu animal favorito? Mi animal favorito es el gato. Mi animal favorito es el gato.
Now notice, animal favorito. If I say
Mi
pet,
mascota
the pet is a feminine. So that linked with this, and it turned it into the feminine version.
favorita es la gata. Mi mascota favorita es la gata.
Okay. So the file that I was asked to work on next was to create a 25 location version of Spanish WordPower. And so similar to what we did with the 60, Pam, Corley, and I got together and we looked at the 25 location English file, and we're doing our best to emulate it in Spanish. So I'm going to show you how that file looks so far. So again, I'm going to go over here to settings, and I'm going to load a profile, and I'm going to load the 25 Español. I think any file that I'm currently working on is my favorite file. This file has been a lot of fun to work on. And so I'll just demonstrate a little bit of it. So if I want to say I want it.
Lo quiero. Lo quiero.
Just as we did with the other file, we have quiero and tengo right here on the main page.
Quiero.
So after quiero, we have the link to favorite things, and we have infinitive verbs.
Jugar.
And we have the verbs that are associated with categories linked directly there.
Contigo. Quiero jugar contigo. Quiero jugar contigo. Mi.
So there we have the singular, and when I hit it, it gives me the plural option.
Bloques. Quiero jugar con mis bloques. Tengo
This is similar to what we've done before.
mucho hambre. Tengo mucho hambre.
When I say me, again, we have the same things that we had before, me gusta, me gustaría, and I feel. So if you're feminine,
Siento.
it's going to take you to a feminine page of feelings.
Muy feliz. Me siento muy feliz. Me siento muy bien. Me siento muy bien.
Okay.
Tomo.
So when I use the verb tomo, tomar, I might want to say I'm taking a photo,
Una foto.
or
Amo. Tomar.
it can take you directly to the drinks.
Jugo de manzana. Amo tomar jugo de manzana. Quiero leer un libro.
So this is a category that's related to reading. And so I'll show you how things work within the categories. Obviously, the core that we have on all the categories, or most of the categories, is we have the pronoun yo, we have the negative so that we can say I don't like.
Me gusta.
We can say I don't know.
Sé.
And we can say I want, I have, I need, I love, I see, I'm going. So we don't really have the future tense of the verb in the 60 Español Básico or this, but I can say I'm going to read a book.
Voy a leer un libro.
Or I am ready to read a book.
Estoy lista.
And it adds the para to the verb automatically.
Para leer un libro.
And so that would be true here too.
Estoy lista.
So the para is added.
Para ver una película.
This is a page that hasn't been done yet. It's not a finished file. Describing words are the opposite pairs are large and small, clean and dirty. This is how these are set up. And then just like the other files, it has adjectives A to Z. And the verbs are, if I wanted to say,
Estoy lista.
I have actions A to Z. And something that I did in some of the other Spanish files is that I give the option of changing the verb form within the A to Z categories. So these pronouns don't speak, but it changes the verbs. So because I didn't have very much room, when I select this key, it then gives you options to change it to the plural. Or when I say nosotros, it gives you the option to also do this form of the verb. So let's see, Pam, do you want to say anything else about this file?
She ended up, she's offline. She's trying to get back on right now.
Okay. Okay. I don't know. I'll show a couple more categories. So again, if I want to talk about playing sports.
Quiero jugar béisbol.
If I want to talk about body parts, this one was kind of fun to do. like I listen
Escucho
with
con
my
mi
ear.
oído. Escucho con mi oído. Me duele. Por favor, frótame. Pruebo con mi boca.
So I hope that this will be helpful, and we'll certainly announce it when this file is completed. Are there any questions about this before I move on to the French?
There's one question. So someone wondering why there is a WordPower 48 Básico and not one in English. We just talked about this, and it's hard when there's a bilingual client. It only has bilingual capabilities on the 60. So we were talking about this just before this session, and I think you mentioned that the 48 Básico probably was most similar to the 42 Básico, and part of the reason kind of has to do with the real estate and the way it was developed at that particular time.
Yeah, I mean, I wish it was 42 Básico, but honestly, it was so challenging because of the number of cells. Now, I guess, you know, for me, if I was going to do another file, it would probably to create a 48 basic in English rather than another Spanish file. I don't know. Would that be helpful if I was to do a 48 basic file?
Yes. That was a quick yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I've heard that before, and yeah, it's a good suggestion. And actually, it's kind of interesting because working on this 25, like I feel like I really like putting core within the categories now. It's something I've been doing the last few years, and so of course the English WordPower 25 doesn't have the pronoun. So I'm going to have to go back and do that. Now I've already done that for some of my clients. So I've done it, I just haven't done it officially. But, you know, there's just always things that come up and like, oh, that would be a good idea, but I didn't think about it at the time. So it has been suggested, so I will certainly take that under consideration. How's that?
Lynn, thank you for adding the comments. So
Okay.
we have about 23 minutes left. So
Okay. All right. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is French, and so I don't take these projects on lightly, and I only take them on when I have really good help. So I had a wonderful woman that is a native French speaker who lives near me, so helped me to develop the WordPower Français. And it was interesting because she is originally from Paris, but I think most of the market for at this point for the Saltillo files, for the French files, are in Canada. So after the first version, we got lots of feedback from a Canadian SLP and some other Canadian SLPs in a school. And so if I had to say, the files are more geared toward French Canadian now. There may be, we're kind of talking about, there may be more of a Parisian Canadian version, but right now it's really Canadian. So the first version I did in French was 120 locations. And so the only real difference between the QWERTY and Azerty is that in France, they often use an Azerty file instead of QWERTY. So otherwise, these files are okay. And of course, French was also very challenging because of all of the small words, all the pronoun forms and all the, so it was easier for me to start with lots of locations and move from there. So in the second word,
we have a question. Do you know if it's similar to the French Creole for the Haitian population? And I'm gonna
I
get.
don't know. We would love feedback on that. So and this file is certainly available. So we'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I thought I would spend most of my time today demonstrating the French with the WordPower 60 français. And so this is a screenshot of that. And then here is the WordPower 60 basic in English beside the French version. And again, like as much as I could, I got the same functionality on the main page and did my best to keep the position of the groups across the top. So one thing you'll notice is that, you know, let's see if so you have your clear display and your period here. But those of you that speak French, you know that the je, which is I, anytime je is followed by a verb that starts with a vowel, then the je becomes J apostrophe. So when you hit the smart period or you hit the clear display, the J apostrophe becomes available. So if I want to say I'm hungry, it would be J, I have hunger.
Faim. J'ai faim.
Or if I want to say, I love that.
J'adore ça. J'adore ça.
And then what I decided to do, so when I hit je, and then if I was to go to M for j'aime, which is I like or I love, it just says M, but it put the word together with the apostrophe. But when I do J apostrophe, I decided to get rid of all the other verbs. So the only verbs that show up are those verbs that start with a vowel. So again, everything in an effort to kind of simplify things and make things less busy.
J'ai froid. J'ai froid.
So there's lots of different forms of verbs, and that was a challenge for French. So of course, there's the infinitive. So if I say I want,
Je veux.
There's that favorite things link, and then all of the verbs are in the infinitive forms.
Aller. Maintenant.
I want to go now. And then the present tense. So anytime I hit any of these verb forms, this is we.
Nous.
Everything changes to the correct verb form. And one of the new things that Saltillo was able to do is they added a French database. So with the French database, and on the front of the manual, it says you have to have dynamic labels turned on. So, and I may be jumping the gun, but let me just show you what the dynamic labels are. So if I say je plus actions A to Z, I have these three keys, the imperfect, conditional, and the future. So when my dynamic labels are on, I can hit conditional. And then if I go to B, so this would be like I would fight, or I would kick. Or if I say je future, then this is the future tense of the verb. And so the interesting thing is these are not button sets. This is just one key that's programmed as an infinitive, but the software is telling it after you select this key to go to the imperfect form. So all that works by turning on dynamic labels in the settings, and I'll show you where that is. Dynamic grammar labels. I don't especially like that feature for English, but it works really well for this. And so I made that part of my profile. So as soon as I used this profile to switch over to French, it changed that setting. Okay, and then we have the passé composé, which is the past tense in French. And so if I wanted to say I worked, it would be j'ai travaillé.
Travaillé. J'ai travaillé.
Or
Nous avons regardé un film. Nous avons regardé un film.
and then we have subjunctive present. So and that's really, if I wanted to say something like, I want you to come, it would be je veux
Veux
que
que
tu.
tu.
And then all of these verbs are in the subjunctive form. That also comes about when you say, I would like. So if I wanted to say, I would like you to know.
Je voudrais que tu
Again, all of these verb forms are in that subjunctive present.
saches. Je voudrais que tu saches.
I remember when I took French class, we would say il faut que, it is necessary that. So when I select this key for elle, il, and on, you'll see this is where I get the masculine and feminine, she and he, and I get the plural, they, and this is where il faut.
Il faut que tu saches. Il faut que tu saches.
And then in French, you have the pronominal verbs. And my understanding is that, like if I want to say, I brushed my teeth, it's like when you're talking about an action related to you. So you would say, je me.
Je me.
And this links to a page of all pronominal verbs. So if I go to brush here, je me brosse.
Brosse. Les cheveux.
So I brush my hair. Or
Je me brosse les dents.
Or I brush my teeth. The verb demander means to ask, but if I say je me demande, like I ask myself, that means I wonder.
Demande. Ce que il va faire.
I wonder what he's going to do.
Je me demande ce qu'il va faire.
I feel is another pronominal verb.
Je me sens.
So this takes you to the feelings page.
Très bien. Je me sens très bien. Je me sens très génial.
So all of these
Gentil.
feelings have
Fier.
emojis after them for fun. Yeah. So the next thing I thought I would do is I have a list of practice sentences that really demonstrate a lot of the functions of the French file. So I'm just going to choose some of these and just go through this. So if I want to say, I like that.
J'aime ça. J'aime ça.
I want a little, please. And you'll see a lot of logical next words here.
Je veux un
So here's a little.
peu. S'il vous plaît. Je veux un peu, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.
Do you speak French? So one of the things that I did, so obviously the verbs change according to their environment. But if I just select a verb here on the main page, what happens is you get the question forms here. So do you listen? Do they listen? Do we listen? And then here are all of the different forms of the verbs related to that work with the number of people. So if we, for example, if I wanted to say écoutant would come after nous, we. But what if I wanted to say my mother
Mère.
and
Et.
my father
Père.
listen? So that would be we. So in that case, they would hit, and then that's how they would have écoutant.
Écoutons. De la musique.
Or if I wanted to say, do they listen?
Écoute-t-il.
And all of the core verbs work that way. So if I hit this key, here are the question forms and here are the different verb forms. And oftentimes there's an imperative form like tell me. And this is the informal and the formal.
Dites-moi.
So if I wanted to say, tell me right away,
Dites-moi. De suite. Dites-moi tout de suite.
I love listening to music.
J'adore écouter de la musique. J'adore écouter de la musique.
Do you want to come with me? So here I would start with the verb vouloir, but it would only say vouloir if I double hit. But I can come over here and say,
Voulez-vous venir avec moi? Voulez-vous venir avec moi?
I don't think I want to leave.
Je ne pense pas que je veux partir. Je ne pense pas que je veux partir.
Do you need my help? So again, I would start with the verb avoir, because do you need is actually do you have need.
Avez-vous besoin d'aider?
Oh, I think that would mean, do you need, let's see, let me try that again. Avez-vous,
Avez-vous besoin d'aide?
do you need help? Do you have need of help? If I want to say, what do you want? I start with this key, que.
Qu'est-ce que tu veux? Qu'est-ce que tu veux?
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
What is the problem? So for that one, we would go to the questions.
Quel est le
And when you select le, a logical next word is
problème? Quel est le problème?
it's time to go there.
Il est temps d'y aller. Il est temps d'y aller.
It's time to finish your work.
Il est temps de finir.
Now this key gives all the possessive pronouns.
Votre travail. Il est temps de finir votre travail.
I'll do just a few more. Now I'm going to go to the categories and show how some of the core works. I'm going to go back to the animals. And in French, if I want to say, I want to feed my dog.
Je veux nourrir mon chien. Je vais nourrir mon chien.
Can I pet the cat? So here we have pouvoir, to be able. And so here are those question forms again.
Puis-je caresser le chat? Puis-je caresser le chat?
She is very cute.
Elle est très mignonne. Elle est très mignonne.
What is she doing? So here's that k again.
Qu'est-ce que elle fait? Qu'est-ce qu'elle fait?
She is eating.
Elle.
Nancy, after this one, I think it might be good to show the resources so that.
Yeah, actually, that was the last thing I was going to do.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Okay, so we talked about profiles. Okay, so there are manuals, and they're really kind of tutorials that are available both on my website and on the Saltillo website. So, for example, if I go to the WordPower 60 Français manual, and these are in your handout. So the manual just sort of steps you through and talks about the different verb forms, and hopefully it's set up in a way to kind of step people through the process of getting familiar with all the, language is a very complex thing. So I've tried to make these manuals as organized and a tutorial that it kind of builds on it itself. So hopefully those will be helpful. And then also, Lisa, do you want to, you can talk about this.
Yeah, on the Saltillo and Touch Chat YouTube channels, just wanted to make you aware that there is a Spanish channel, a Spanish playlist on there. So whenever we're able to get the Spanish supports, we do add them to the YouTube channels. And you'll see there is like a Get Started one. We did our new to Touch Chat series there. So that's also in English and in Spanish. So, and we will continue to build this library as well. And then one of the goals is to start creating a French library. So in time, we'll get there, but those are there now for you to use.
Yeah. Well, are there any questions that we can address?
I think we've been answering them. And is there anything that anybody would like to see or anything else within those language systems? This was such a high-level overview, but we wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of what's in the files and how they're organized, which they follow the general architecture of WordPower, English, Spanish, French. So it's kind of consistency and makes it familiar for all of us. I will add also to the manuals that Nancy demonstrated a little bit of when someone had said they're not, so I don't speak Spanish as my primary language, but I've had to help or assist with some different folks. And that's my go-to. Okay, this is what we're trying to do in English. How do I do it in Spanish? And it's been one of my lifesaver for me, something that I've used quite often.
That's nice to hear.
And we do have one of the attendees said she's going to try it with some of her coworkers in Florida for the French with the to see how it works for the Haitian. I know I'm saying that wrong. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly or not. From Haiti.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Please get back to us. We'd love to know that.
Yeah.
And you know, I had to do a huge revision when I found out how different many of the words are. And actually, I just want to say, I'm just going to say this quick, but with both Spanish and French, of course, it was a big challenge because in Spanish, there are so many different parts of the world that speak Spanish. So what we tried to do is always find the word that was most common, but definitely people will have to edit the files to change certain things. And so, you know, that would definitely, I'm sure that would be true in Haitian French, but hopefully, usually the verbs are very consistent. It's the nouns that have more differentiation. So please let us know how that works.
Thank you all for attending.